because again, you're really going to be defining in the goal statement itself.
How would you say finance? Broad, it's such a broad category. Because you're talking about state aid, you're talking about tax cuts, you're talking about grants. There's so many different areas of it. I would just say simple as finance.
I agree, because it touches every single aspect of everything we do.
Right, and funding can go under finance.
And that's something that you can embed into the goal statement, and I do like, this far-reaching financial innovation, this notion that, we need to plan for the future.
Right, and the word planning, I think is so important too, because Tom's always telling us where we're going to be in 3 years, in 4 years, in 5 years, and we backload off of that. So it goes hand in hand with the fiscal responsibility that we carry every day.
I think it's also, sustainability, so financial sustainability, I think that would encompass everything now and the future.
I think that falls under innovation. I think that word innovation, whoever put that in there, I think it's a very small word to use. I think that's
Well, I think we mentioned that because, like, what we read here in SWOT was not just so much, financial number-wise, but it's also, we kept seeing doing a lot with a little. So the innovation wasn't just how can we find more money, it was like, well, how can we do more with less?
Right.
So that's why we wanted to make it more than just finance.
So we want to make the category finance, and then
And
within
then-
our objectives, start talking about innovation, sustainability.
So yes, so what we're doing right now, and so we're gonna have our goal categories. The next step, once we have all our goal categories, is every group then is going to fill it in with anywhere from 3 to 5 priorities. So one of those priorities, aka an objective, could be, creative long-term planning. And then the final step is to congeal everybody's thoughts and ideas into that broad visionary statement that represents everybody's objectives, because that's what gives it its meaning, its definition, and then from there you begin to build it out. So we like finance. I'm just going to throw one out there because I always like you to think of something else. Fiscal responsibility. Do you like fiscal responsibility, or do you want to keep it finance? It's yours, and I don't want to hijack the show, but I always want to give you something just to think about.
I like finance.
Finance, perfect. I like it too.
And under that goes fiscal responsibility.
So that's what you'll be encompassing within the statement, will be the responsibility piece. Now, I'm going to number them. Here's the thing. When you guys publish these, do not number them.
No.
All right?
It's not our
The other
number
thing
one
that I'm going to
priority.
suggest here is that I know we're going to have one category that represents our students. My suggestion would be put that one first, because even though it's not numbered, people will ascribe it a numeric to it. So we want to stay away from that. All right, so we have finance. Next one that I saw sort of throughout here was, and again, these are kind of intertwined. Facilities and buildings. Technology to a certain degree, because you're talking about infrastructure. And then, I thought I saw it somewhere else in here, so maybe that wasn't one. Vibration, financial innovation, shared values, community collaboration, technology. So the other piece too, again, some of these are intertwined. Facilities and buildings. Do you think that that's something that could encompass some of those other aspects of it, or do you think that, buildings and grounds kind of falls under the financial aspect of it and can be incorporated into some of the other pieces that we talked about?
I actually think that falls under, we had a very broad category of environment.
And that's the one, I skipped right over.
Yeah.
That's a very broad category, like kids can't learn in decrepit buildings.
Absolutely.
So,
I take
Or
offense to
Or
that.
I like
They're
your
decrepit.
I like your word
they look just like
infrastructure.
So
I like your word
infrastructure,
infrastructure, I like that. Because that encompasses
I like that too.
all of that too, instead of infrastructure.
It also goes to the spacing for the students also.
Right, so
Having
it's
enough
spacing,
classrooms.
it's playgrounds, it's safety, it's technology, it's all of your infrastructure.
And the reason we went with something more like environment as opposed to that was because of the feel of that tight-knit community, that small town feel. And that's what led us to environment instead of infrastructure.
Right.
We were looking for something really broad that we could put that as one of the details underneath the specific objectives, continuing or maintaining or enhancing that close-knit community feel. That was why we said environment, and then it also encompasses safety,
And mental health.
I
And
like
mental
environment better
health.
than infrastructure
Yeah.
because to me,
Yeah.
it encompasses not just brick and mortar,
Yeah.
it also encompasses people, part of the
Yeah.
environment,
Right.
Intangibles.
Yeah, that's
And
kind
you
of
like
a feel,
feel
try to
Mental health, I
combine the
mentioned
both.
before,
Yeah.
so I like
Right.
that.
All right, so what do you guys think? Environment, because then the next step of it is we're gonna define what environment means through the objectives and then clarify it more in the statement. You guys like it?
I like environment, I like
Environment.
For the number 2 one, yes.
Big shout out.
Shout out to table number.
Table number.
2.
All right, so the other thing too here is I would really highly suggest having something focused on student achievement. Because I guarantee you read through that and there were a lot of things because, we're in the business of educating students. It's kind of hard to craft out goals. So my question here is a lot of this stuff, again, is intertwined. When you talk about social emotional learning, when you talk about individual learning, curriculum, program, all of those things, professional development even goes all the way back to student achievement and growth. So the question that I'll throw out there is, how do we want to word that? Do we want to keep it something to the effect of student achievement and growth, or do we want to have it branch out a little bit more and encompass some of the other things you guys brought up in these categories? Because there are opportunities for us to meld, a couple of these into one.
And we called achievement and growth to encompass also the health and safety, because that's the growth of the student as
Mhm.
well, not just educational achievement.
So what do you guys think? Because even if you look at shared values outcome, again, you're going back to values. And really what values are, it's really our belief about our students that guides our decision-making and our practices. And that's really what values are really about.
Academic, social, emotional, the whole child, educate the whole, You had said that earlier.
Yeah.
that
Right,
was
like
your
really
term.
focusing on all aspects,
Right,
not just.
social, emotional, academic.
Right, because every child is different.
So,
education of the whole child.
right, educate the whole child, or educate, something like that, educating the whole child.
Whole child growth,
Achievement
child-
for every.
excellence,
Success.
success.
Why don't we keep it
Well,
super
the
broad,
other
because
one
it's a
had
goal,
that-
why don't we
Yeah,
keep it
keep
super
it
broad?
super
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, they should be broad and not so specific.
Under whole
Personalized
child,
enhanced
you can do
academic
curriculum,
program.
mental health.
Right.
Personalized-
child
success.
Education.
Personalized success.
Personalized,
We have personalized enhanced academic program. Customized specific.
All right, so I hear, student growth, I've heard academic success or student success, whole child. So out of those, what sort of, resonates with you?
But student success.
I like
as well.
student success better than academic success, encompasses everything, yeah.
Yeah, educating the whole child.
For success.
Because then under educating the whole child, you can have all of the.
Right.
You can have academics, you have.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing
Social, emotional.
Mental health.
educating whole child. Is that something that we can live with? Do we like it?
Well, because even if you really wanna get down to the weeds, then you talk about your character education program, and you talk about your anti-bullying program, and you talk, not that, administratively.
Right.
So on the flip side of that, if we look at it, is educating the whole child something that should be incorporated into the goal statement as opposed to having it be the category? Because again, all the category is doing is just pointing you in a direction. Like I said, it's like walking into a department store. What's in that department is really, what matters.
I think students
Still
should be in there
success.
somewhere.
We have enhanced curriculum, you got enhanced academics twice.
You do achievement period or
Then you also have the special ed department. too.
Achievement just has like a
Yeah.
Where you at?
a
Achievement
certain
sounds like-
connotation to it that's only educational, but it's all.
when you hear achievement, again,
Have it just be like.
the big standardized scores, unfortunately, even though it's all encompassing for the person and child, where success, really kind of hits upon, everybody succeeding.
I think it's whole child success.
Or whole child success.
I like that,
So,
that's
Whole
positive.
child
Go back.
success.
It's right
It's
there,
not
see
about
if it-
students, I still like, because they're students.
Oh, student success.
Student success.
Yeah,
Student success.
I don't like
At
the-
every level.
But underneath
Right. It's not an E, that's.
Which one is it? What do you like?
So, looking at it up on the board, what are your thoughts on whole child success?
That's right.
What about growth instead of whole child?
Excuse me?
Growth?
I would-
Whole child growth instead of success?
Yeah, I like that
No,
better.
I don't like growth. Sounds to me like growth.
Yeah, but
Especially
success
at
Which they
sounds
are,
like-
because we're pushing
Well,
them
what
on to
about
middle school.
Yeah.
She
student
means
success
height.
in there?
Yeah.
You know, something,
Success
Student
means
success.
succeed. I don't know,
Yeah.
it just
And
seems
what is
like-
that to everybody?
But then below it, we can speak about the academic, emotional, and social.
Yeah.
So I would just say student success.
Yes.
It's an oldie, but a goodie.
Alright, so, you know, sometimes it's better to look at it visually. So, we have whole child success, and then underneath I wrote student success. Which one?
I think every kid that walks through our doors.
Alright, so we have a vote for student.
I still like
I
it.
like some federal
You're gonna
act.
final answer.
Whole child
You're like, right.
Alright,
What that
It's
means.
a good whole child.
Looks like a.
Right, that's my,
I gotta.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Let me do
However, to play devil's
Don't
advocate,
count
is
your
that
chickens just yet.
the pre-K students who we're educating also, they technically are on our studentship. Pre-K,
But they're students.
They are students,
so they
yeah.
are students of us? CPS, yeah, CPSC.
We don't pay for it.
alright, so
No,
we're beginning
no,
to
I
spin
don't mean
wheels
that
here.
to-
Oh,
I
okay.
mean
You wanna
that-
call it
that's
child
just-
success?
no, that's
Oh,
not.
yes.
We don't
Alright, so here's my suggestion.
Right.
Let's put this on the back burner for the moment. I think we're gravitating towards student success. If we can't come to a resolve within, you know, a reasonable amount of time, my suggestion then would be utilize your communications person. Say, hey, you know what, this is sort of what we want to encapsulate, give us, you know, but for now, let's just leave it as student success, and if you want to come back and change it, you will. All right. So, what I see here, and again, these all sort of tie in, modernization and innovation. I don't know if you meant that to mean the district as a whole, buildings and ground, or if that was supposed to be all encompassing. Integration of technology, enhanced academic. To me, all of those things kind of flow together. What are your thoughts on that?
Your modernization innovation was meant to be all encompassing. So whether it was the technology, the buildings and grounds, it was just making sure that we're constantly moving forward into the next level.
Okay,
The space that you're
Right.
so it's the
teaching in is
space,
But like
it's
these types
the
of things
infrastructure,
also
it's,
was,
you know, it was everything, correct?
you know, even just
keeping us-
disabled, it goes into that whole, you know,
Wouldn't that be
what
under
does the
environment?
future look like?
So that would be more
Yeah.
under environment, and again, you know, I would maybe steal some of that verbiage when you're writing it, because, you know, you definitely wanna have, you know, some buzzwords thrown in there. So we
It
have
also
three,
could be a way of teaching, you know, a way, well, that would go
Innovative
into student
teaching.
success then.
Right.
The modernization
Mhm.
of the program goes into student success. How does that work?
And same with technology, because the integration of technology to enhance curriculum goes to student achievement and
Right.
student
Yeah, I
success.
think that's what we meant more about like student success and not just a program, but how do you use a program to
Help them
to
succeed.
help you learn about why you're doing what you're doing,
Right,
not just
right.
learning the program.
In isolation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
because we find that with technology, we feel that here's your curriculum and here's your technology, and when you learn them in isolation, they never go like this, so it's not enhancing the learning.
Right,
Yeah,
it's not about the tools if you're using it, how you're using it.
yeah. So that could probably go under that student success.
Success.
okay. So, question here is, do we have a fourth that we can extract out of it?
I think community,
Community.
And that
because
is,
you
that's
need
where I was
points
gonna
on the
grab.
star, you got your
Especially
finance,
if
you
you-
got your environment, you've got your students, and you need your parents involved.
Right.
We talk about the 1,200 people who showed up for a board vote, but they, you know, where's the involvement? Other
Absolutely.
than, you know, check the homework, that's like,
Yeah.
that's how I'm involved.
Yeah, they track you down in the grocery store, but don't show up at the board meetings.
Correct.
And that was one of the underlying strengths that was constantly listed here was our community.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that is what, if you ask pretty much anybody in North Merrick, what do you like about North Merrick, they would talk about the community first.
Absolutely.
But is that too closely related to environment?
Well, I think, you know, environment, you know, it's twofold. And if I I understood you correctly, we
Right,
wanted to
okay, I
focus
just wanted
more
to
on.
put it out there so that we know
Yeah.
to distinguish,
Yeah.
you know, when we get to the specifics.
So if we wanna say something about, community partnerships or something to that effect,
How about community fabric? Have we used fabric in one of our
I think it should be the
I like the
educational
partnership.
community.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I'm just saying, I don't want community,
Educational community.
that's why I put that, I didn't want, I
Teachers,
don't want the community to be simply,
administration.
oh, the people
Right.
out there who
No,
vote
it's
or whatever, I
important.
think community should involve students, teachers,
Residents.
Or
residents,
all of it.
everybody,
So-
that's, to me, that's why I put educational community, and
here's the one
not
thing,
just community.
Right.
the one thing I want you to think about though, when I hear educational community, if I'm somebody, I'm an empty nester, do I feel alienated because I don't feel like that's not applicable to me, even though it does?
Right, but I want community, because I know the way we define it here in
Community
Montreal
collaboration.
is
The
The
not
way we
teachers,
write
not
underneath
students.
it,
So I heard community collaboration,
Partnerships?
community
Ooh,
partnerships.
I like that.
I like that.
Which one do we like better, partnerships or
Well, because
collaboration?
then that also relays that there should be a tighter fabric between the home and the school, with the partnership involved too. So not just how we interact.
And I also think of it as, I know that the high school articulation, they're part of our partnerships, partnership to, in that, beyond North America, and then the components. So it really expands beyond our 3 buildings, it's almost the Belmore Barracks,
Yeah,
uh,
it's
Yeah.
unique
That's
here.
a good word, to encompass the school districts, the parents, the
yeah.
faculty and
businesses.
staff, the administrators.
Yeah, you want it to be, very broad in its reaching. Me personally, I do like partnerships. So I think that's one that we've agreed upon. So are we going to carve out a 5th one? Or do we feel like 4 is sufficient and encompasses everything that's up there?
Yeah, I think we should let it lie.
I think that's good.
But
Right,
Anything
I-
beyond that, it's gonna get muddy.
I would agree.
4 to 5.
And again,
Yeah.
you don't need to have 5 just to have 5. Remember, what you encompass in these goals, people are gonna hold you accountable for those. So we don't wanna, wrap, pie in the sky ideas that we may or may not get to. So I agree that the 4 that you guys have really embodies all of these. So kudos to that. The next step here is going to be a little bit tricky, but still fun nonetheless. What you're going to need is 4 sheets of chart paper for each group. So everybody should have one of those pads with them. On the top of each one of those 4 pieces, you're going to write one of those goal categories. So on one of them, you write finance. On the next piece, you're going to write environment, and so forth. What I'm going to ask you to do is collaboratively as a group, I want you to put in anywhere from 3 to 5 priorities that you're picking up out of the SWOT analysis, or if the SWOT analysis didn't pick it up and you know that this is something that belongs in that category, I want you to list it out. We're not writing the statement yet, we're identifying the meaning of the statement by identifying the needs and priorities. So for each one of those goal categories, you're going to have 3 to 5. So 3 to 5 for finance, 3 to 5 for environment, and so forth. So you're going to discuss at the table what should go on there. It's not ranked, just list them out. Again, you're just getting your ideas down. So the only you can number them on there. If you only come up with 3 of them, that's fine. If you feel like there's 6 or 7, that's fine as well. All right. Questions about what I'm asking you guys to do next?
So all of us are doing.
So each group, yes. Because the next, after everybody does that, each group is going to have an opportunity to report down. So we get a sense and we can have a little bit more discussion from there. And then once we have that, we begin to write.
You want us to hand this to you? or
Yep,
something?
you're going to hold on to all of them because you guys are going to report out. After you report out, then I'm going to collect the chart paper from you. But
Yes.
once you guys have your objectives, right, nice and neat, so whoever you designated, 10 person.
Can I just say something before we actually go on, guys? We're just discussing this.
Okay.
As far as student success, which I think is a really old term, right, and dated. I love like the whole child education or whole child something, only because when it comes to like mental illness, stuff like that, if people are gonna question, are we addressing that and everything, well, it's under the whole child.
It doesn't jump out
It
at
doesn't
the
jump out.
success.
It doesn't
Yeah,
jump
it
out
doesn't
on just student
Really
success.
only schools
Sound,
and
and it, It almost sounds
Yes.
very academic.
Academic.
Yeah, like student
Only.
success, so what are they getting on the SAT?
Right, I
Right.
like
Yeah.
whole
They
child
see the
because then,
pattern,
oh, there it
they
is,
see
so
the
right there.
Child
state.
education.
Whole child
They're gonna see
education.
everything.
I like that term.
So when you
That's
publish this, you'll have a
Like
goal
whole
I don't even
category.
think it should be education, I think it should be whole child.
Focus.
Whole child focus.
I don't like,
Something
I like whole child,
focusing
but I
on
don't
the
like with
whole child,
education, because then you're looking at just the, I feel like you just look at the academic and
Yeah.
the
Okay,
grades.
alright.
But I like whole child, so I look
But we
at
leave it
focus
there.
on
Educating the whole child,
I like the focus.
supporting the
Whole
whole
child.
child.
along
Supporting
Whole
Whole
child
child
support.
support.
Whole child
No.
support. No?
Whole
Whole
child
child
focus is
growth.
better.
Focus?
Whole child focus is better. Whole child education.
Whole-
Alright, I hear whole child focus.
Education now, yeah.
Whole
Focus,
child.
yeah, focus is
Some
pointy
of
though.
them.
We're gonna,
Focus is like narrow.
About whole child education.
Whole
Not
child.
if you're focusing
It's
from
a goal.
30,000.
or how,
Like environment, it's huge,
Huge.
whole child, what, which is huge.
Whole
Not if
child
you're looking at
center.
the 30,000.
yeah.
Why not just whole child, period?
Whole child, bigger.
Just leave it whole child.
Why not just a whole child,
Leave it
period?
whole child.
Yeah, and then underneath
We'll
that,
get down to
underneath
the
it,
I was gonna say, yeah,
Underneath it, then we can
Yeah,
add.
whole
other
child.
stuff.
Whole child
Alright,
development.
so why don't we just put it on the back burner and think about it, but when we focus on our objectives, we can surely
I
come
do
back
too, I like
and
that.
talk about that, but I'm gonna leave it right now for its whole child, but I think we all know how to define that through the objectives.
Whole child development.
Whole child development, I think we
Add
like.
it to the mental health.
Whole child development? Whole child development.
Development?
Whole child development.
Whole child development, not
Yeah.
now.
So we're developing,
Love it.
growing
Good.
in whole child growth.
We're developing the whole child.
I'm looking too.
It says, I Googled it. So I have whole child approach is an effort to transition from a focus on narrowly defined academic achievement to one that promotes the long-term development and success of all children. So whole child approach is what this said, takes you away from the focus.
Whole child
Whole child approach.
Because I can do that with our new system.
Jim, you can steal that one too.
See, when you Google,
I know.
you
Oh, I
won't
love
get
that.
Alright, so
I like that.
I need to cook.
alright, let's stay with whole child approach, if you guys decide down the road we need to
Alright.
change it, 'cause
I
again,
do like that.
Right, just grab the whole box.
I need a cookie.
Yeah.
You guys need a
Let's
one.
start with finance.
No, there's a whole
This
other
sheet-
box.
This is a perfect sheet to do. Right? Category priority. And then we'll write it on the sheet. Under finance, I think priority one should be your responsibility. If you cut waste, it's like making. Filling closets.
Innovation, right? We put on the finance. We put the finance?
We just said finances.
Finance.
Bringing revenue?
Finance, innovation.
We gotta just, yeah, separate the
Do we have a
categories.
recycle bin?
No, it's 3 to 5.
Alright, we could put fiscal
Yeah.
responsibility.
How we do it?
Somehow miraculously it disappears the next morning.
About funding.
I have no idea what happens.
Got it.
Creative funding. There's so much creativity with the SCP.
Yeah.
Well, we like to try to be creative.
You want a sandwich or something to drink?
Innovation.
Are you sure? You're not hungry?
Yeah, I had 4 cake.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, you want water or something?
I'm a Gator. Thank you.
It's a long night. Help yourself.
All right, I appreciate it.
Take the whole child, I hope feed them. Feed them.
They gotta feed them, they gotta eat.
They have to eat. You don't want a sandwich?
No, thank you.
Salads,
That would,
cookies,
that would fall under that.
Roll
Long-term plan, long-term plan.
So we gotta write down.
Yeah. I think long-term planning should almost fall under everything.
Right. I mean, that does kind of fall under fiscal.
How do we define it? Like fiscal responsibility
Well, we
is
need to
spending money wisely.
Wisely, right.
You know, don't.
so yeah, so they make kind of a SWOT analysis, you know, these are the priorities that we can classify under this category. 3 to 5, if there's more, you know, like a range of,
don't do an override.
I mean, you can read, you know, decide, change a little bit, you know, like create a long-term plan. It sounds a little bit better. Absolutely.
With the bonds.
You're right.
Long-term strategy.
So what's the other one? Technology.
I wrote full child
Whole
development.
child development.
Oh,
Good.
like
We'll
side.
do whole child.
Full child.
So, we obviously have because of that, right?
But that's not, so.
Yes, that's our number one.
Oh, he said no sentence.
Priority
He
mental
just put
health.
some words. So innovation,
And you can put
creativity.
sentences.
Oh, you can now?
Yes.
Responsibility.
We're capturing our needs and priorities, our objectives underneath here.
Twenty-first century learning.
I like that.
Safe character building. Enhanced academic.
Whenever I sit budget, it's like we're doing our structure. Twice a week. It's maintaining, like, you keep saying, it's maintaining our structure. Like, that seems to be the.
That would go under safety, that would have, where the kids feel they're in a safe environment. Safe
Right, I'm
environment,
just
comforting
nervous
environment.
that we're not,
We'll double
but I just want,
line
like,
it.
that's some of our.
So I'm not gonna overlap that, but that's fine.
No, I don't want you to write it, I'm just kind of talking out loud, like fiscally, what approaches to this. I'm like, we want not professional development.
Yes, we put enhanced academic.
So I'm trying to think fiscally.
Yes.
Responsibility. Planning.
And then there's also these like bullet categories, so now we're collaborating.
So what we're doing here is,
Yes.
so what we're doing is, what the things that we see under
Short term, long
finance
term.
that we need to focus in.
Kind of.
Yes. So you're looking to build the next step would be to extract from those objectives to create our hierarchy visionary. So, a lot of.
And I don't mean for a career,
Just mentioned was,
Well, they do get exposed, they do get exposed to a lot, yeah.
So those are the
We
things
don't
that-
want to outshine everybody.
So those are the things, so that's sort of like,
Let me ask you something.
we need to figure out how to, get other streams of money, how to utilize our money. You know,
So what's the modern term for that? So it's really, it was like a radical art thing. But now it's more
Almost like, what do we have safety? It's like a climate, learning space, what's the climate? School climate.
That's the term I would
I
use
like
for
that.
that, because that's the,
Relationships.
yeah.
Ultimately,
So how are we saying, like, when you look at what a classroom should look like to you in 2 years, what would you want it to look like, right? You want kids helping kids, you want the lowest
Stuff,
learners
right.
getting
That's the environment, so it's collaborative, because what we're trying to do is we have to
21st century
promote a
education.
Is that the new term, is that the new term? Teachers are moderators.
You know, what a learning environment works best. So you know what, Sandy, Gary would really help me learn. So it's almost self-awareness, self-efficacy. Advocacy. I'm gonna go, I like that.
Because that incorporates differentiated instruction
And neither is the
into it,
place.
you know, so that's like
Yes.
The education.
It's like, I might as well write it short.
I don't know what it is.
A lot about choice.
Not quickly writing,
Makes
quickly
more
saying,
responsible.
taking it
Right.
short, and then turning it back and putting the notes. But what is,
because they were going to the ground.
All our spaces in general, just the learner spaces. I feel like we should all our because that can encompass playgrounds.
Is that the whole, child, whether it's just
So it does give them
It overlaps.
responsibility in their learning.
right.
And outside of the classroom, is that what vision is in 5 years, 3 years, when you show
Well,
some
environment could also.
I like that.
do a lot of learning on
I like that.
online.
That's not
Great.
Teachers are creating certain things and then having those meeting conversations in the classroom.
She's starting to do that.
Well, it's funny, because the proposal that Lynn is supposed to be working on,
Minimum.
the end of the year,
Right.
the nurturing young minds.
Yes.
And I think that's so well with these, and I've kind of held off on it to see where we wind up.
Looking at bringing what they
To
do.
change the logo.
So if we're using now, like,
But
we're
maybe
going
the
to
star
fourth
is
grade,
it.
sixth grade using tablets and things like that, that's opening up the avenues
Even
for
like,
kids to
the
do
way it's
that,
like,
right?
North, right, I know
So
what you're saying.
when where's the line
There's
where
one person who have something like that,
how
and
much
then
presentation
for
does a teacher have to
words,
provide?
finance, whole child.
Where,
I want them to be a moderator most of the time.
Right,
You know,
how cool that would be,
learning,
instead of
right,
north,
but
south, west, and
how
east.
are you learning it?
Right.
I like
What
that.
does it look like? And what do you want that to do? What do you want?
Yeah. I also think it's relationships,
And 5 years is gonna
communication. Local business support, something like that. I almost want to say it's happening in the greater community, talk about, component
on their own outside of the
not
class.
that word.
More of the conversations and activities
I like that.
in the classroom.
Why don't we go to the next one?
Yeah, even if we need to put like an actual one. Because you said.
You know, like,
We're killing it.
literacy is to take like whatever you need to teach the children, 10 minutes, and you do your teaching, you model stuff, and then you let the children go.
Self,
You don't talk as a teacher, don't,
no, that's
30 minutes. You get those things.
it's almost
That's more
like,
specific, right?
it's almost like.
The new term is constructivism. Constructivism, I tried,
Go ahead.
because that's the old term, I don't know if it's changed, I don't know if it's.
Yeah, but, how are you using it?
Well, it's constructivism is where the
Experiences.
teacher is more of a moderator and a
Almost-
facilitator.
It's student choice also, a lot of it has student, and that's what like all this furniture is about, how am I going to learn best?
Right, and what's that term?
So like they construct
Student
knowledge,
advocacy views, what do you think?
constructing knowledge and meaning from their experiences. It's not specific. Again, what experience, how are they gaining those experiences? I mean, this is still an
On a roller coaster.
I think 21st century learning has to be there, because that's going from the bells and cells that grows to the bean bags and the pedal chairs and the high cafe tables. What do you see in this room, too? 21st century learning.
Where we are.
The Google little rooms, glass for small groups.
Student-led, student-centered, student-centered.
Because we wanna make sure.
Yeah, but development
And,
Positive reputation. That affects our.
Yeah.
That's kind of like more public
Yeah, instead of teaching math or teaching ready students.
Drastically.
So we have mental health,
Yeah,
social,
we have
emotional,
like-
I
academic.
love the enhanced academic.
Yes, environment.
Center, what?
Individualized learning.
Successive.
Indirectly, and now with all three of them, we did not
I like
touch,
that.
intertwined staff.
Well,
That's more
environment,
environment.
do stuff on the environment.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So we already discussed
Environment, high education of well-maintained, modern capabilities.
Yeah, they're just going straight.
Keep them big buckets, right?
We could just put down, give Sam more work.
Okay, hold on. How you spell Sam?
Team building.
What's number one on
Check
that?
Tom's.
Keep Sam busy.
Keep them busy?
No, we were gonna say, well-maintained facilities with modern capabilities.
Because kids need to know that what they
Well,
want.
all that. Alright, so,
You know, team building means that
Facility
right now,
maintenance.
I'm not.
No, it's more, it's the.
I'm gonna write paragraphs up here.
Yeah, not everyone gets a trophy,
how about,
okay?
Just well-maintained, you wanna try to bring it.
Elevated facilities, modernization of facilities.
And then before that,
Showcases from 1980s.
no, I know, updated facilities. Right, I like, so,
Modernization of facilities.
modernization.
No, I'm just,
No, he's right, because then that other stuff will fall under that. Right. Well, safety, environment, security. Yes, safety and security.
all that.
Yeah.
Okay, sum it up.
We're gonna go back and share it out.
you have to have technology.
Oh, is that,
Technology is part of the environment.
Technology is part of it.
One more time.
Technology.
A lot of the jobs are shaped and have, the leaders this year, it's more like
Technology. Technology, you don't want to see the stuff, it's gonna be something that drives it.
teaching them thinking,
Updating.
collaboration, problem solving.
Relevant technology, like,
Technology, the day you buy it, because they've already started designing it.
right, yeah, so.
sustainable
The day you buy the
technology.
house.
Yeah.
Sustainable technology.
Consensus building, team building.
Innovative technology.
Sam up there. Sam's the
Oh,
man.
we're giving more
Yes,
work.
it really is.
Right,
He was an okay hire.
Technology.
We actually wanted,
Technology.
we wanted to find that in 5 years.
Because I already wrote.
He strives
You
for
already read
better
that.
every day.
That's really
What do you say?
We're teasing you.
Kids are in this district.
Because I can dish it out.
Community relations.
Community relations.
Communication.
We're on to the next category. Next category.
Community partnership. Community partnership. What is it?
That's not the intent.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
you can't communicate partnership.
So you're gonna just talk about communication, right? Enhanced communication.
Well, long-term planning and sustainability.
Accurate.
And expedition.
Right. Right, like quick
Physical stress?
something like that, yeah, phrase it like that, right? That's actually,
Financial.
And then, you know, that's a sense of, oh, okay, this is work.
Parent engagement.
Communication, feeling like mental state, creating a grant.
How about social?
Where's the social media? Social media is tricky, that can be under technology, that's gonna be under safety, that's under lots of different things.
Yeah, it's like revenue focus, focusing
That's
on
something
revenue.
I'm actually gonna touch.
Make a revenue, I can see them there, right. Or you could look at, you need a walk.
Enhanced communication is all I have for community partnership.
I like
Enhanced communication, we had an expeditious.
The thing with finance is doing a lot of little.
It's a lot of words.
Yeah, we
How do you
gotta.
say
No,
that?
or just
Speedy academic, speedy information, speedy accurate information, right now, it's
be accurate.
Provide accurate information.
A little more corporate.
Yeah, we'll fix it.
Doing a lot with a little? Everybody.
Community balance.
How do you say that in
No, strengthening community engagement.
Continue to find new areas of revenue, maximizing existing revenue sources. Continue to educate staff.
Well, and it's tied to it, homes and partnership, back to the restoration.
Collaboration. Collaboration. I would like to say community.
Continue to find new areas of revenue to maximize existing areas.
That's probably enough.
After speedy and accurate.
Community collaboration.
Well, community partnership.
Yeah, I guess that's the title, right? What was the one you said?
Strengthening community engagement. Because if they do it for
Right.
you, then you end up following your community back. Or strengthening. Increase.
We do that now.
Right? I think you should. There's another box over there that says tell you all there is to be paid.
I know, because I went to that to BOCES training, we were talking about.
Hold on.
Okay,
So
so.
priorities say maximize current to avoid.
Why don't you stand up, it's easier when you're writing.
We're now ready to scribe? She is.
Good. Much rather than look at that.
Wiping it off.
I can't, I don't think I can say
Anybody
that.
else? Ready for the last one?
Which color would you like?
Kind of.
Alright, the category will be in black, right? Environment.
Yep.
So I'd like to put down like, technology education.
Whole child development. Is it
Whole child approach, or we doing whole child approach or whole child development?
We settled on development.
We did? I thought we said approach.
Approach, that's what I said, we went to approach.
We did, right?
Oh, we did?
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know she was development.
You guys have development.
Oh, but you went to development,
No,
you should
it's
not
not
be doing it.
If you want to, I mean, we could talk about that later.
All right.
We got the gist.
Bring it up.
We give a whole
I
child.
thought we settled on development.
Okay, so that's what the whole child approach.
I think that's what we decided.
How is that on time? Okay.
4 hours.
Huh?
4 hours.
We're gonna hang on. Yep. You guys, we're gonna go
I'll
around,
do it here, okay,
present out.
very good.
And is that your, handwriting then?
No, I wish, that's,
I was gonna say for a lefty, that's pretty impressive.
This is Tracy's.
And your hands are not even.
Your nice handwriting.
Oh, and the scale it to actual size.
It was just like my custom.
Oh, yeah?
Every time I look over, I'm like,
What does that mean?
You must be a hands.
Clarify what you were. Oh, I'm sorry, what?
right?
Well, we can look and have it.
Okay, so you were saying that your
I
mental health.
understand that. I'm not educated. I do understand what you said.
So what's like
That's good. I don't need no education, I get what you say. It's like a good thermometer to have in there, because it's not, you know, we give you different plans.
Collaborative,
Yes.
collaboration, problem solving.
Poached my idea.
Valentine's Day's coming.
Oh, that's right, I can give it to
Erin
Aaron.
is gonna.
Yeah,
copying is the highest form of flattery.
Oh, I say that all the time.
So when you tell kids in class that they get busted cheating?
That would be number two.
Well done.
How
Will you
many-
flatter my I'm gonna have to.
So much flatter. No, I was gonna say
Like that.
That's a lot.
That's why I just take those in front of
Collaboration.
Really?
Like I would know.
Have the most embarrassing.
The unicorn.
So where is
What is she wearing now?
Everybody has their own extra.
So fun.
And when I find out what my
It's
name
the
is.
horn. Oh, here comes the horn. She's five.
That's what.
Oh, yeah.
Then you need to call a friend to know what that costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
Handwriting on?
Calligraphy.
Every event.
Can you do this part?
Oh, speech to text sometimes.
Oh, I love that, but it's really funny sometimes.
I didn't say that.
Unicorn.
I swear.
It was this. They're like street. No, and it was like this. I'm like,
Environment.
very. And she acted like she had nothing on her head. It was painful for the rest of us. It's a resilient. Yeah. And that's what we do.
Ed has.
It's okay.
Money, money, money.
Thank you.
And they have, I used to say this, they have.
Here we go.
It implies that.
It does.
I never put numbers in there. I don't like it when you put red numbers on it.
If they're being
Oh,
real
you're gonna see a
with
lot
them,
of red
that's
this year.
really who they are.
When
I get my budget versus
It's great.
when I edited my students' writing, I'd always use purple or green.
Oh, there you go.
Then they get
It's
older.
the whole child mentality.
Jen, when I give that
Stop
to
talking, no one asked you.
Again, innovation.
I don't know. That's easy. As long as it's in
So
Excel, I can do
I'll
pivot
give it to
tables, I
you
can do
as
all
I
that
have
stuff.
it for myself. So you'll have the formulas already in there and stuff.
Right. That's my wife.
And all you gotta do is one day copy and paste it, and do whatever you want.
I got my now such a habit of asking how, everyone has to ask everyone how they do. Because I used to ask
Be
them,
looking for what's
and I
everything.
said all the time, now you ask me.
And I just learned that 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Never knew about it. So I always just
So much
sell
It's
myself
fine, if it
myself.
wasn't, I'll let you know.
Ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, that takes hours. You look up, it's like click and drag. Like, you really don't, but there's tricks in the formula, so you know the little balance line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that core is a puzzle.
And to be honest with you,
No, I used to actually.
But I like the
Mark's pretty good.
it's a great tip.
It's a Klingon.
I've done it a couple of times. Just go Google. I Google all the videos.
You know what, once you have somebody just.
Laura's got this picture like this, like Klingon.
But I like it because it's solid data.
My son still has his little monkeys on the wall. I started peeling them off.
Whenever you're fine.
Okay?
But it's only revenue. All you're gonna get first is revenue.
Because unicorns have stuck around for a year now. It was always my favorite.
So now, have you ordered
I
like
always
this?
got C's. You look like a doctor or a math
Does she have a unicorn hat?
major.
So cute.
Yeah,
So
she
cute.
has a hat.
It's so awesome.
My undergrad
My
was
daughter.
elementary
Everywhere she
education
went, she was Katie.
and a minor.
We always went over there.
Maybe now they're starting to get it, but when you say something.
But I don't tell a lot of people that I can sing.
Exactly.
One of my parents found out because I was talking to their kids. Basically,
and you should make about yourself too. And, you know, kind of, I say, just move on yourself like you.
Right, so all of a sudden you're
My kids were farm
Yeah, my kids like garden hands.
Okay, so it's under
We go into.
Yeah, that allows administration
Come
work on
class,
it.
and we're running the numbers and all the Who's he funny today? Who's he funny today?
Don't make eye contact.
Oh, but let me tell you,
The video.
special ed.
For a summer.
Alright, we just might have one more group to finish up and then we're moving forward.
Really?
We're in sync.
Very cool. Millions.
FaceTime.
You know?
We're in sync.
I did special ed. But Beth and I are like, look, I'm developing you.
Very, very happy.
So what about this cut? He done it, or then he goes.
Well, yeah. Oh, and I will give him something to take out.
Great
He goes,
idea, like
I've already taken it out. She's killing my ideas.
Tire damage.
Discussion.
And then maybe first, second.
It says Dollar for dollar, you can do it. I don't know what it means, but it means you can do it because he's getting it back somewhere. As soon as that comes out of his mouth, we're like, yes. Yeah, we have a good time.
On the other side of the golf course.
We're almost done. Right, we don't have the middle layer. It's us and then the principal.
All right, you guys
I'm
last.
so happy they're here.
Okay. Finance?
Principals are going to work side by side with your board. I said, Jim, I have a great board. And they're like, that is amazing. That is such a big thing. I go, well, they're not royalty. I said, well, we're on the same page. I think we're on the same page. Gold. Right.
It's purple, green, and blue.
Exactly.
Hey, we're gonna make finance not be as much of a problem. We're gonna make it cheerful.
We're gonna make you write all your reports. But nobody leaves.
Well, like, chickens for next year, when I did the different colors.
Oh my gosh, some of them like.
It was a great idea in theory, but then when he put it on the board, you couldn't see anything. Oh, man.
But you know everybody.
But it looked good on the
It's
ditto.
that like Mayberry kind of, you go to the store, you're running into somebody. And there are days you may not want to, so then you need to suffer to go.
Oh, you mean hybrid?
Yeah.
Someone else.
Exactly, which is, we don't get a big tax base, but you get that small town feel. Jamie, today I was at a superintendent's
Yes.
conference, and I'm telling them that was a bunch of people, and their first response to me, they were informed that my board was going to work with principals as well as central office. And they thought that was amazing.
It is amazing.
And I said, well, yeah, because the principals are taking levels, and it would make sense for them to contribute to this, and that my board is very comfortable working.
Right.
I guess it's the board.
I've done it where, you know, we'll send out the SWAT, we solicit the information from the administrators already, personnel, like them to do the actual assessment. And part of the rationale is, well, we don't want them to come outside their work time. An opportunity to get we're all educators, if it's within, you know, reason,
We're waiting.
Oh, no, I'm holding up the shit here. I know. She's like, come on. All right. So it seems that everybody finally, not pointing out the one group that finished last over there, but.
I'm gonna take that dagger out.
So here's what we're gonna do. So this is an opportunity for all groups to kind of report out. And we're going to do a round robin style meeting, Deb. We're going to start off and we're going to follow the goal categories that I listed up here. However, Cindy threw a wrench in the work. I thought we agreed on whole child development, and she said, well, wait a minute, no. I thought we agreed to whole child approach.
Yeah.
So I thought we had put this to bed. Am I wrong?
I wrote approach.
I like
Approach.
All right, that's me.
Hold
It's
on,
actually Jennifer. She's the
hold on.
Oh,
Child development.
All right, so we're going to start off with whole child approach. Let me just fix this here. And we're going to do a round robin meeting that each group will report out on that goal category. Once your group is done reporting out, you're going to hand me the chart paper. Because after we report out on all the goal categories, as I mentioned in the beginning, we strive for efficiency. Each group will be assigned, and this is great because we have 4 categories and 4 groups, so each group will be assigned one, and then the task, and I'll give you guidance on how to go about doing it, but is to write the statement, and then we'll all have input on the statement. So why don't we start? I know Cindy stepped out for a minute, but I'm going to start with this group, and then we'll kind of go around. I do encourage, though, if something didn't make sense or you have a question about something that they report out on, by all means, ask them. And one of the things you're probably going to notice is there probably will be repetition as we move through here.
Okay. All right. She's older, I'm the speaking.
that's a lot more than this.
Yeah. So for whole child approach, we put mental health, and under that, social, emotional, as well as academics, extracurricular learning, self-awareness, individualized learning, experiential learning, enrichment for all, team building, and collaborative learning.
Excellent. Any questions? So the one thing I'll point out here is that because these goals are visionary, right, we're not going to probably encompass very specific things in there. Because again, if you write, for example, building better one, individualized learning, obviously there's something you're striving towards. If you put individualized learning specifically as an objective, that means you're going to be held accountable to it. Is there a way to intertwine it into that? Absolutely there is, but I'll give you that caution when we get there. So we'll move on to Vinny's group, whole child approach. Right?
You need to hold it up, Sam.
No, I don't.
I wrote it up.
Yeah, you can get I got no problem.
Do double duty then.
Okay.
We have mental health, we have safety, we have character building, enhanced academics, which has lots of things that cascade off of that, and student-centered learning.
Huh?
Like it.
Excellent.
No, I didn't.
Sorry.
Okay, so we wound up taking mental health and physical health, academic success, 21st century learning, and collaboration, problem solving, and innovative thinking. Unmanned job. Thank you. Superintendent. Need you guys. Oh, my own.
Yeah, just from
They came up with all the ideas, that's why I had to.
Did you write that? Were you gonna do
Yes,
this?
I did it all. I did it all. My next one. Yep.
Good team building.
I did it all.
I'm fighting my time. Yeah, that's way too collaborative. I did it all myself. Nice collab. Wait, wasn't one of them?
It was Team Tom.
Yeah.
Team Tom.
That was gonna be the headline,
T squared.
but I didn't want to be too conceited this time.
T squared.
Okay, we were trying, these objectives are a little broad, but we said, develop child's emotional independence. Okay, so like instead of saying, hey, build your self-esteem, build,
Self-esteem,
self-confidence. So, that's really, building, we spoke before also about making sure the children are prepared to meet the challenges of the future. Also down here it says, district determines shared value outcomes that drives, or what did I say? Shapes all decisions. Now, shared value outcomes, not familiar with the term, really is all the things we've been saying. For example, shared value outcomes would be innovators, thinkers, collaborators. So the district comes up with a list of these shared values, and then that drives every decision that we make as far as a lesson goes. So instead of listing all of these and saying this, every time we have a lesson, every time we have a program, or this new program that we're going to develop is going to be, to develop collaboration, okay? Or this lesson I'm doing in kindergarten on shapes is going to be to develop innovators, okay? So we already have that list done, so instead of always having to write down those things that we talked about, it's our shared value. That to me is a good way to kind of package all of those things that we keep saying over and over again. So, right, that's right.
Excellent.
Nice.
Nice job. I was very impressed that you could read from the back.
Yeah. It's the X-ray vision for.
And did your
Without the
team
glasses.
help you on that one or no?
What was that?
Was that all you, or did you?
It is my team.
Team approach right there.
Collaborators.
All right, so we're going to shift gear and report out on environment. So again, we'll start off with Cindy's group here. Go around the horn.
Alright, so under environment, we put safety, school climate, relationships, welcoming and comfortable, collaborative, self-advocacy for learners, student choice, and mental health we put here.
Excellent.
Okay, so for environment, we put modernization of facilities. Figure to keep that up to par. I think that also includes lots of different things. Security, obviously, and technology innovation. And all those other things again.
Excellent.
Since we're discussing environment, yes, my school safety, I must say that before they did help.
Oh, thank you.
So for the environment, we again also have safety. Then we have innovation and modernization of our spaces. And then last but not least, it's staff growth and collaboration.
Okay, we also have upgrade and modernize buildings. Okay. We have social technology education, kind of focusing on social media. And then we have cultivation of safe space. So we're thinking that the whole idea of mental health, which did come up a couple times, I think, in the SWOT, and also we mentioned it right in the beginning. So we figured environment, we thought together would be a great place in our to have our goals for that. So that's why we put that down.
Very good. Just out of curiosity, before we move forward, do you guys have, like, in the high school, a mindful room? NISBA did a news segment on mindfulness. I don't know, I was just kind of curious to see if that's catching on. I know there's a couple districts near us that do the mindful rooms. I was curious if that's caught on down here. Very cool. All right, so let's move on to community partnerships.
All right, we have parent relationships, local business support, communication, the community at large, including the component districts, the Central High School District. We also meant to include, like we did already. Already said, local business support. I said.
All right, very nice.
I'll
No,
take
I
this
got-
one.
Fall asleep.
We did enhanced communication,
and I doing everything.
speed, okay, sure. Okay. Speedy and accurate information, increased community engagement.
Okay, so community, for us, we did homeschool relations, basically the relationship between the parents and the school, to make sure that they're getting all the information from the students. The next one is the public relations, to make sure that the public's getting all the information, the transparency for the district. Well, actually, the last one was transparency.
Public and keep our
Telling our
positive,
Is that one?
Telling our.
Yeah, I think they heard us.
and keep our positive image.
See, they can get involved.
Go for it, Rod.
Very good.
All right, very nice.
Do you think it's right
We're flattered.
I'll try.
I'll try.
This table is very flattered by
We're
the way.
very
Yeah.
flattered by that.
What's going on over here?
Okay. We put down a continuous flow of information for feedback and distribution of information, i.e. Surveys, events, let's say, outreach. So we're thinking more like of this information estuary, you know, it flows both ways. It's not just getting information or just giving, it's actually both. I think it's really important that our focus is on that, okay? That's why I say continuous flow. We have information going both ways continuously, whether we're looking for information or we're giving information. So it's not like one side is not an emphasis on, hey, community, tell us what you think we should do. You know, it's both. So, you know, both sides. And also the focus on community was, we also thought of students, you know, not just local businesses or people, but students, teachers, and the community at large. I think the focus is, like I said, both ways.
Very good.
Kids School, they sent out a thought exchange survey that to fill out, asking for feedback in terms of how is the district doing, what could they do better, so it just reminded me of that.
So for finance, we had creative ways to bring in revenue, which is a continuous conversation. Fiscal responsibility, innovative sources and use of resources, and fiscal planning not only for long-term but short-term.
There you go.
Did we have you?
Yeah, unfortunately,
Ditto.
the green group,
What they said.
Well, it was hanging
Green group copied us, but we
Okay.
have fiscal responsibility, innovative funding, and long-term
Well, they're
planning.
changing their answers. No, pencils down,
But you only
please.
have long-term planning, they actually also had short-term. In fairness,
They added
So I think that's
that.
also
They added
permit revenue, maximization.
We can go with the great minds think alike.
Okay, for finance, we
What should
did
we
short-term
have?
and long-term. Increased
And
revenue
sustainability.
and sustainability. Increase revenue and maximize current revenue.
Very nice.
Says the finance guy.
It's almost like it was
I forgot
squeezed in
short-term.
He's a finance
I expected
guy.
a little bit more.
He expects
Not
not
at
tangible.
all.
That's when you get into the weeds, he's all over it.
Okay, we had to create a long-term 5-year, we couldn't think of, you know, we wanted to
What
make
does
it a,
long-term mean?
we wanted to make it a defined, category there, parameters. Overarching, like the word, financial plan, because we wanted to make sure that whatever our plan was, it affected everything, whether it was, just, bond issues and things like that, or it meant just, programming in the third grade curriculum, even on like the seating and things like that. We also had seek and utilize resources creatively. And we're also thinking this is not just about finding a buck somewhere. It's really about, ways to deliver curriculum in a different way, out of the box. Instead of maybe purchasing, some kind of program. Hey, can we do the science program on our own in-house? We find ways that teachers can develop, a third grade science program with household, items that we can find or develop that. So I think it's, also that, the manpower we have here, utilizing that instead of just looking for a better return on some investments.
We're in the ROI, I like it.
Alright. We're almost now time to see the fruits of our labor, but before we do that, we need a little bit of guidance in terms of how do we go about writing these. Now, somebody I heard say that the best form of flattery is to copy, or copying is the best form of flattery, something of that effect. Listen,
Cheating is real.
we work in education, right? Education is all about taking what others have done, but taking ownership and making it ours. That's really what education is kind of about to a certain degree. All right? It is about innovation, it is about creativity, it is about thinking outside the box. But when it comes to what we need to do next, sometimes we don't need to reinvent the wheel completely. So what I'm going to do here is kind of give you an idea of how this all looks one more time. We have a vision. I meant to ask, do you guys have a written vision statement?
It's on the website,
It's
yes,
all-
but it wasn't created
By
recently.
anybody here.
So,
None of this.
as a suggestion, again, this is nothing more than a suggestion, at some point, since you do have a category of community partnerships, you may want to think, and you can do this in-house, of running a series of workshops, inviting various stakeholder groups, solicit their input, and then crafting a vision statement that's a little bit more in tune with sort of today. That's just a suggestion. Other times you as a board can take a look. But again, mission, those change sometimes. But again, what we did here following our flow of events tonight is we looked at our SWOT analysis and we carved out our goal statements. You guys did a phenomenal job with that. We then now looked and said, all right, sort of visionary in nature, what is it that we're aspiring to become? What do we need to kind of focus our lens? What are our needs? What are our priorities? And we identified. And the next step here, as I mentioned, is to now articulate that into a goal statement. So I'll give you an example here that says, this was kind of generic to a certain degree, all students will graduate prepared with the knowledge and skills necessary to succeed in college, career, and life. That's our goal. And again, the next step of the process here is your administrators will then start carving out more specific objectives. And I gave you an example of that down here that is in tune with this goal statement. Develop and fully implement the Positive Behavioral Intervention Supports Plan, or PIBS, by June 20XX. So this is how it all flows together. Again, we have this notion that we want kids to be prepared and be successful. How do we go about doing that? Well, we need to change our approach of internally in what we do, and that needs to be implemented. The thing that I don't show you here is an action plan. What I'm going to ask you guys to do next is to actually write the statement, something that's somewhat similar to here. I do want to point out inside that packet, I gave you examples from 3 school districts of their goals. As I kind of alluded to before, if there is verbiage that you like from these goals and you say, you know what, that really matches what we're trying to accomplish here, by all means, borrow it. I guarantee it probably was borrowed from somewhere else anyway. All right? But it's all about ownership and reflecting what needs to get done. I will be honest that typically when I do these goal setting, Shenendehowa seems to always be a hit. I don't know why. They do a very nice job. They got a great communications person who does a really nice job producing these. But these are things that you want to take a look at to get a sense of how do we want to go about writing it. I always suggest that shorter is better. That's my opinion. I wouldn't write a paragraph. I have seen goal statements that are paragraphs. That is way too much in my opinion. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give each group one of the goal categories. I'm going to give you all the chart paper from the objectives and the input that every group has given. What I'm going to ask you to do is, so for example, I'm probably going to assign them finance, since you have your FO here, it kind of makes sense, okay? They're going to take a look at everybody's input, and they want to then articulate a statement that reflects the work that needs to be done. Typically when you write these, don't jam-pack it full of educational jargon. Typically when you write these statements, it's like at an 8th grade reading level. So don't think I need to be very eloquent and we're going to put all these adjectives and buzzwords, because when you do that, it sounds watered down and it sounds like, you know, you're just throwing fluff out there. Okay, but these are your statements. You want them to reflect the work that needs to get done. Feel free to Google district goals. Take a look at what other people are doing if you get stuck. But again, you're creating statements that reflect the work that needs to get done. You're owning those statements, and after you guys create them, everybody will have input on ways in which we can maybe modify them. Questions about what I'm asking you to do next?